Tonight on News Nation Prime, the battle over President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Now the big, beautiful bill comes with a new price tag and red flags after the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says that nearly 12 million Americans will lose their insurance by 2034 if the bill passes. Tonight on Prime, what President Trump's big, beautiful bill means for your wallet and your wellness.
Live from News Nation headquarters, this is News Nation Prime.
For more, let's bring in our panel. We have Republican strategist Matt Klink and Scott Bolden, News Nation political contributor and former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party. Gentlemen, welcome both of you. Scott, I do want to start with you because Democrats have slowed this down. They made them read it out loud. They stalled the debate. What is the end game for Democrats here? Do you think they're going to be able to stop this bill?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop it, but they certainly want to slow it down and reach out to Republicans, moderate Republicans in purple districts to appeal to their humanity and their practicality, if you will. This bill does secure the border, but the southern border is secured already. It does have the tax cuts. I actually like the tax cuts. It's everything else in the bill that increases the budget deficit or the budget ceiling by $3 or $4 trillion. It certainly is going to have 12 million people off food stamps, Medicaid, and really literally taking the food from the mouths of poor children. Now, you've got choices. You can say, I want tax cuts and I want a secure border, and that's the expense to those other issues that I just raised. That's not humane, if you will. That's the Republican not really caring about the very people who put them in office. And they've got some real decisions to make. Now, if you just love Donald Trump and you're gonna praise him and you're gonna be loyal to him, then you pass this big, beautiful, complicated bill. But this isn't America. It'll be the largest transfer of wealth in the history of this country. And I'd ask all Republicans and Democrats, right? Who do we define ourselves to be? Is this really who we are? It's got some good stuff, but the other stuff is really bad for America, the very people who put us in office, both Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, Scott, you bring up an interesting point in terms of how this would impact the average American, and I want to get into that with both of you in just a moment. But Matt, I want to ask you first, is this bill really about policy, or is this a litmus test of loyalty for Mr. Trump? And are we seeing cracks in the GOP on this? Is there cause for real concern for the president, or is this the regular noise that we see before Republicans will largely fall in line?
Well, Republicans have largely fallen in line, Natasha. And yes, this is political, but it's also policy related. This is the centerpiece of the Donald Trump economic agenda. And let's just be clear, this locks in tax cuts across the board for all Americans. It says that if you're on Medicaid, you shouldn't be getting it if you are able-bodied and able to work, where the Democrats just believe in a handout. Republicans say if you're able to work, get a job. It also kicks 1.4 million people who receive Medicaid illegally off Medicaid. This is a good thing. It doesn't tax tips. It doesn't tax overtime. This is going to spur growth. And I know you pointed out earlier the CBO number. The CBO has been epically wrong a number of times. It said that 25 million people would sign up for Obamacare. 12 million people signed up for Obamacare. It said that the 23 deficit spending, they underestimated the deficit by 1.04 trillion. And it said that the Inflation Reduction Act would actually save 58.1 billion. It actually cost 428 billion. So the CBO has been epically wrong. The Republicans, they're going to survive this vote-a-rama. It will get through the Senate, and then the conference committees will meet, and I assume that this will be, if not the 4th of July, maybe the week after the 4th of July, but it is going to pass.
Okay, so let me ask, Scott, everyone's talking about politics. What does this bill actually do for working Americans next month? Scott, I want to go to you first on this.
Well, it doesn't do a whole lot, and shame on the Republicans. I'll go with the CBO, as imperfect as they may or may not be, as opposed to politics and Republicans who just want to transfer wealth and and be faithful to Donald Trump. You can't look at this bill as securing the border and tax cuts, if you will, without looking at the damage it's done to working class Americans and middle class Americans. And so you may not, our voters, American voters and citizens may not feel it right away, if you will, but they're going to feel it over the next several years, and they have nobody to blame but the Republicans for it. Again, I like the tax cuts. I like securing the border. The Democrats haven't done a good job at that. But then it's all the other things that have tacked on to this big, beautiful, complicated bill that are going to hurt Americans. I don't know how Republicans in good faith, like those like Tom Tillis, if you will, who say we can't do this, if you will. Despite the loyalty to Donald Trump, the reality for Americans, we are in trust with these Americans, and it's going to cost them more. 60% or more of Americans don't like the bill. That's why the Democrats had them read it, if you will. And if you read that bill, or if you listen to what's being said, more Americans aren't going to like it at all, because most Americans aren't part of the wealthy. They're not part of the Republican Party or praising faith to Donald Trump. They're just trying to put food on the table and do the day-to-day stuff to educate their families, to feed their families, to get health care, and this bill takes that away from them.
Okay, and you bring up Tom Tillis. Matt, I want to ask you about him in just a moment, but first I want to give you a chance to respond. What does this do for the average American?
This is a pro-growth bill. I mean, look, gasoline prices are down, egg prices are down, the world is a safer place, all because of Donald Trump, not because of anything that the Democrats have done. This bill sets the stage for growth heading into the 2026 election. And the reason why Chuck Schumer decided to read the bill, it's a simple delaying tactic. He knows he can't slow this thing down, and the Democrats are shuddering in their boots because they know economic growth is going to explode, employment is going to continue to grow, and inflation is going to remain low, which means it's going to be a good election year in 2026.
Very quickly, Scott, is that why Democrats are shaking in their boots, because the economy is about to boom?
That's not right. Inflation is down under Biden. Jobs were up under Biden. Manufacturing jobs were up under Biden. Okay. And the economy, despite the fact that many Americans didn't feel it, the statistics certainly show that Donald Trump inherited a strong economy, including the stock market. If all of that's going on now, why do we need to do more with this bill versus shutting down the border, although that's been shut down already, and then the tax cuts?
Thank you, Donald Trump.
All of the, well, I think Biden and Donald Trump, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, give me a break. Who knows? Joe Biden and the border, that's the comedy hour.
Well, I conceded that we didn't do a good job on the border, but the border shut down. Thank you, Donald Trump, if you want to say that. But the border numbers were down under Biden towards the last 6 months to a year. My point here is that when you analyze this bill, it is really a transfer of wealth. It's got some good things in it, but the basis and the negatives in the bill are so hurtful to working class Americans that the Republicans are never going to be able to explain that away. And that's the reality. Whether you like CBO, whether you like all the other analysis, one thing's for sure. Two things are for sure. The deficit is going to go up, and millions of Americans are going to lose Medicaid, they're going to lose health care, and they're going to lose food for their children. Those are facts. Tell me why I'm wrong about that. That's not wrong, and that's why this is a bad bill.
We are out of time.
Should not be. Oh, we can't be out of time. This is so important.
It is. It is so important, and we are neck deep, 15 plus hours. Unfortunately, I have to call it at some point. Matt Klink, Scott Bolden, appreciate you both as always. Thank you.
Thanks
always
a million.
Good to be on with Matt. Thank you.